Good night, my brothers and sisters. I'd just like to share a dream the Lord gave me this morning, early in the morning. And, just speaking with my brother, and we were talking, and I was telling him that, a lot of the messages that I share in, it seems very heavy. They're very wrathful messages from God, of judgment, of things to come that God is showing me. And you don't really tend to see the God of love that we know him as, that I have experienced him and I know him as. He is a God of love, but, everything that I'm sharing, it says in the last days that these things would come to pass and that there will be a season for these things and that his judgments are there. It's the only way to turn us back to him, in love, to see his love. So if you have never experienced him, if you reject him, if you do not believe in God, if you completely reject the idea of God, which I have experienced the loving God, my brother has experienced the loving God, we know the loving God, and it hurts him to see his children going astray and reject him. So the only thing that will turn these children who reject him, the ones of not disobedience, but yeah, disobedience, and also those who just completely reject God, right? The only way to turn their heart toward him is through judgment. It's the same as when God works with us. We tend to expect God to heal all of our problems and just continually bless us and continually do nice things for us and give us what we want. But, 9 times out of 10, or maybe even more, is when God works with us, the process is through refinement, through fire. So he refines us through difficulty and he chastens us as the scripture says a parent would do his child. It doesn't feel good at the time, but over time, his way and his process of dealing with us, of handling us, is what really makes us love him more, is what really matures us, refines us, turns us away from the wrong thing and turns us to the right thing, is what really kills our flesh and to really give up on self, and it's not through him always speaking loving words or always giving us what we want. It's through difficulties, So the Bible presents this, and as you walk in God, you'll come to know this. So, I just wanted to say that with the messages that I'm sharing, it's the appointed season for these things to come to pass. Now, there's different types of dreams that God generally, or not just God, but there's different types of dreams that I experience. I just wanted to share this because most people who see the things that I share, they'll probably say, "Oh, this is not from God," or you constantly sharing the same thing, and it's all judgment, negative, and it seems wrathful, but like I said, this is the appointed season and these things will come to pass. So I just wanted to explain the different types of dreams I have. And over time, I've learned to discern them, which ones are from God and which ones are not from him, which ones are of the flesh. So, as all Christians will experience this, you go through spiritual attacks where when you come to God, the devil will, because he knows that he's alive now, he's true, he will reveal himself. He'll attack you in the sleep. When we are asleep, although the body is asleep, the soul is still awake. So our soul is active, and this is what the enemy fights against, and this is where God will speak to. God doesn't speak to our body or our flesh, he speaks to our soul, right? So this is the place that the enemy would attack. Also, there's spiritual tests that every now and then, depending on the time, and if you're struggling with lust, every now and then, I believe God allows the devil to tempt us to see if we make progress and we overcome the test in that sort of way. Just as Job was handed over to the devil to be tested, is the same way that God will allow the devil to tempt us with certain tests in our sleep, right? And I've experienced this as well. So there's these kind of dreams. And then there's short-term dreams where, like, for example, 3 weeks ago, God showed me something that was coming in my personal life. And a week ago, it happened. So over time, he showed me a lot of these things where he'll speak to me something of what is going to come. Be careful of this, things to be aware of. And he shows me these things. These things come to pass in the short term, right? All of them that he showed me has come to pass. So I know it's God speaking to me because it happened just as he said it would happen. And then there's these messages where, like it's been just over 2 years where God, from I came to God, he's been showing me what is going to come. And it's all pertaining to judgment. That judgment is coming. Now, most of these haven't taken place. There's one or two that I've seen taking place in my life, right, so far. But most of them, the things that I've been sharing, most people would look at what I share and say, none of the things that you speak about has come to pass. So why should we believe you? But this is also another area where he speaks to us long term. And I know it's going to come to pass based on how he speaks to me in other ways, so it's not just my relationship is based on this. This is only what I share, but there's so much other things that are being fulfilled, which he showed me. But in saying that, I do believe that what he's showing me now is really about to take place because recently I know he's been showing me that the warnings would stop, which my dreams have been slowing down. And it's been more of personal, personal progress or personal, process with me, where he's been working, refining on building me more, to be prepared for the season that's coming up. But even so lately, the last video I shared was on the 3 days of darkness. And this one, it was with war. But the reason why I say I believe they're going to start coming to pass now is because the things that point out to me, in the dream, like different symbolisms and like that. Also, as well as other people's messages that they're receiving. And it all aligns, they all confirm each other. So I think we're going to start to begin seeing these things soon. Right? So I had 2 dreams last night, and normally whenever I receive a dream, I would go back to sleep, or if I wake up, I'll just go back to sleep, or I would sleep until the morning. But now it's like it felt like a urgency where God gave me the dream, and then the same night he woke me up, and then during prayer it was like I received the confirmation. He gave me understanding to it. He gave me everything of interpretation. Before he would give me it, and then I would have days to confirm it, to interpret it. Whereas now it's like he came like the same night, early in the morning or the same morning, and he's like giving me understanding, giving me confirmation. So as well as other things in the dream. So this dream had 2 scenes. And I believe the first one is about war coming. So I was on this hill. It was like a hill with a tree or something, right? There was like a tree on the top of the hill. And I saw this periscope like from a submarine. It came up from like the ground. It came up. And I could see the eye. It felt like I was right in front of it. It was so close to me that I could see when the periscope came up, I could see the person's eye, the details of his eye, like his eyelashes and like that. And he was looking out, he was moving the periscope around to see, I guess where the enemy was. But he was so close to me that I couldn't tell whether it was a friendly or if it was the enemy because he was behind enemy lines. He was this close, where he was already behind the enemy lines. So we had a difficult time trying to figure out if it was an enemy or if it was a friendly, and it was really short, really short scene. In the end, I thought they were friends, and then they captured me, and that was it. It switched to the next scene, right? But it was just really detailed of this eye and how close they were, and I knew that it was a war. That was they were planning a war, and or not planning it, but they were about to start a war, and they were already behind the enemy lines. That's what I received in my spirit, that they were already behind the enemy lines, and they were so close that we couldn't tell whether they were friendly or whether they were the enemy. And then I was captured and handed over to them. And then the scene changed where I was on this beach. Same thing here. I felt like I was literally there. The same way I would react, the same way I would think, speak, I cried out to God. I thought I was there. So I was on this beach with other people. It was a beautiful sunny day. And then all of a sudden the weather changed real quick and it started to snow. So while we were on the beach, it started snowing and we looked out. I remember me and other people on the beach, we were like looking at the weather change and we were trying to figure out what happened. We were like, this is so strange, like how come it was sunny and then in just a blink of an eye, it just started snowing out of nowhere and the wind picked up, it was blowing, so people started to leave the beach. And while people were leaving the beach and running, the wind picked up a lot. And then we noticed that these big hailstones began to come from the sky. So my natural reaction was to put up my hands. So I started putting my hands up in the air like this to protect my face. I even remember putting my hands over my face, and there were people screaming, like leaving, people running, and these hailstones were hitting people, right, all around. And I cried out to God, and this is also another reason, where, there's over time, there's different ways I discern my dreams from God and like that. But one of the ways that I noticed too that He always leave is like I wouldn't say a calling card, but He leaves like a like I don't know what you'd call it, like in yeah, I guess like a I guess that's the best way to explain it off the top of my head. Is like um, a note or like a pointer that shows that it's him, that he is in it, so or it's from him, right? So what I was saying, yeah, so I put up my hands and I began to cry out to God, because in my mind I was thinking, I know God is going to protect me, right? I am one of His. I remember thinking that. And when that happened, they continued to get closer. So it was coming so close to me that I started to feel nervous inside. And I put my hands up and I was like, Father, help me. Why are you not? Or I think I said, why are you not protecting me, or something like that. And like the feelings that I had inside was like, it felt like I was there. Like these hailstones were like literally, I was thinking that they were gonna hit me, like really gonna hit me, and I just remember looking up to God and asking Him, like, why aren't you helping me? And I cried out to Him, right? And that was it. It was only two scenes. And I know that I had slept for a while, right? It wasn't right away, but a little bit later on, I guess, before I woke up in the morning, like, I think I woke up like after 2. And I woke up to hearing in the spirit, someone said, wake up, and normally lately, like God wakes us up, well, He wakes me up, and, especially others, He wakes us up during the middle of the night to go and pray. And, for me lately, it's been really difficult where He'll wake me up, but I'm still tired, and I'll try and pray to Him because I know it's Him waking me up. I'll try and pray for a bit, But because I'm so tired, I end up falling back asleep, or it's not like a long time with him. But when I heard the wake up, I heard like someone say, "Wake up." And I woke up, I was wide awake. So I knew it was God waking me up, and I knew that He wanted to talk. So I got up and I went straight into prayer, and then He began to give me the confirmation right away. Like I said before, normally it takes a while. He'll take, days, or, at least a day, 2 days for me to get a full understanding, get the confirmations. But He gave me everything right at once, so between seeing the periscope and the enemy behind the enemy lines and seeing the enemy so close, that gave me the sign that this is near, as well as, how He woke me up and how He gave me, just understanding, gave me the confirmations, everything just at once. So when I woke up, the first thing that came in my spirit, placed it right in my spirit, right as I started praying, was Psalms 91. I think I prayed for a while, and then I waited to hear from Him, and I heard Psalms 91. And immediately, it was Him speaking to when I was putting my hands up. Because that part of the dream, I was thinking about that part of the dream, and then He spoke Psalms 91 to me. Right? So He gave me that. That was the first confirmation. And then I started to think about the hail a little bit more, as I went on and I was praying and, just having to think about it. And I started to search for hail, for the meaning of hail. What does it mean biblically? And one of the things, or there's two scriptures that came up, but one of them was Job 38, verse 22 to 23. And he says, "Have you entered the treasury of snow, or have you seen the treasury of hail, for which I have reserved for the time of trouble, for the day of battle and war?" And again, Haggai 2, verse 17, it says, "I struck you with blight and mildew and hail in all the labors of your hands, yet you did not turn to me, says the Lord." In both of these scriptures, as well as Psalms 91, He was telling me, when these things come, you will be protected. So find, safety and abiding in my presence, So I think this isn't a message to me, it's for everyone, that when these things come, then find safety in the presence of God. He will take care of you. If you belong to Him and you're called by His name, then He will take care of you, But it was so amazing to see how the second scene aligned perfectly with the first scene, with the confirmation He gave me in Job 38, verse 22 to 23, where He says, "Have you entered the treasury of snow?" Where I was on the beach and it started to snow, and then it started to hail, and then reserved for a time of trouble, for a day of battle and war. So it confirmed to me what I had already thought, which when I saw the enemy behind the lines and they were preparing for war, it made me realize that, okay, all of this is confirmed, So this is what the Lord showed me. And also I just noticed, the same day, Rhonda Empson shared a vision where she saw a Roman soldier at the foot of her bed. And again, that came to my mind when I was, having to think about this, because the Roman soldier at the foot of her bed, I remember she said that she believes that it could mean persecution coming for Christians. But I think what it means is that war is coming, and it's right at our doors, at the foot of our bed, right at our doorstep. You know what I mean? So it's really close. And this is why I said, I believe that everything that He's showing us is about to begin. We're going to start seeing these things. And I think that's it. So, yeah, I think that the Lord is just really showing us that, war is coming, His judgments are coming. And these judgments are only coming, as Haggai 2, verse 17 says, did not turn back to Him. We're not turning to God. We are leaning on our own understanding. We're rejecting God. And judgments are only meant to bring us back to a place of repentance and to our first love, to love in God, to fear in God, for being the God that He is. So, I just wanted to share that. As well as, one more thing, I noticed another lady shared, she saw missiles coming down. She received a vision today of missiles coming down. Again, I was shown missiles before, so I just think a lot of these things, God, like I said, He pours them out at the same time, and He speaks to all His children just so we can be prepared. So, I know it sounds like all the messages I share, it's judgment, it's wrath. No one wants to hear it. There's not many people who watch my videos, and I understand, I get it. It's the same that, not saying I'm a prophet or anything, but when you see scriptures of prophets in the past, of when they would constantly share negative things, how they were rejected, how they were hated, how kings hated them, how they wanted to kill them, persecute them, this sort of thing. I guess it's the same kind of thing now, that there's so much people sharing prosperity and these messages of peace and of abundance and these things, but God is really speaking that now is time of judgment. We're really in the season for it. So, these things that I share, it's only, as I said, for one, obedience to God, which is most important in my life, as well as when these things happen and people look back, they're going to see, that God was speaking, God was warning, so it's just a turn to Him and really, listen, take heed, so I just thank you for listening. Take this to the Lord for prayer, for confirmation. I don't expect people to believe what I say right away, but take it to God. He will reveal the truth, and He will reveal if it was from Him. So thank you for listening. Stay blessed. Have a good night.